Is Melbourne still worth it? Should you come to Melbourne? Should you stay in Melbourne? There are some students who move cities. I was thinking about this because I this always happens to me when I go to the city. I don't go to Melbourne CBD as much as I want to, and a part of me thought like, is it worth for international students, for migrants, to still come to Melbourne? I'll tell you my humble opinion on the topic. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Emilio. I am an English teacher. I help students with IELTS and PT preparation for migration purposes in Australia. And I am also a NATI translator. So if you need to translate a document between English and Spanish, send me a message in the link in the description down below. I really think about this of whether I would come again to Melbourne or how nice Melbourne really is, all these things, you know. And I think it's because I don't go to the city that often. You know, you see in the news that Melbourne is becoming more dangerous and this and that. Well, I think like wherever you are, you need to be a bit careful. It is true that, you know, maybe things are changing, but it's not like, oh my God, if you're watching this and you're from South America, it's not like, oh my God, it's super, super dangerous. But, you know, you need to be more careful than before. That might be something, you know? I've also heard people saying Melbourne is the same. It's just that before social media, the internet, you know, the way that things spread or like the way the news spread is not as fast as it is now. I'll let you decide in the comments. Do let me know in case you're in Melbourne. Anyways, every single time I go to the city, this time I was catching up with a friend, a part of me thinks that Melbourne is such a beautiful city. I seriously, almost always, whether it is an excursion with students, whether it is just me going out with friends, maybe there is an event, or maybe it's just going casually with my family, I genuinely think, oh my God, what a nice place, what a nice city. It is probably not the cleanest, it is also not really dirty. And when I think about my students, or when I think about international students, you know, because ex-international student here, you know, first I came to Australia as an international student, then I finished up uni, did my teaching qualification, started working, and then, you know, life happened basically. And I think that, yeah, like seriously, the Melbourne is a great city, and I've seen the changes basically compared to when I first arrived versus not only how it is now, but all the changes with COVID, how a lot of people left to other states, putting politics aside. I'm talking more about not about politics. I'm talking about basically all these PR pathways. You know, lots of people going to Tasmania, going to Queensland, going to other states, basically going to Adelaide, and I think that still in 2026, still, I mean, Melbourne has got a lot to offer to people. And I could tell you, I mean, a list of reasons. I will tell you a few, which is probably going to be 3 to 5. I think the first one is the student experience. And maybe for some of you watching, the student experience will vary. It is very different, you know. For example, I came to Australia and from like almost day one, it was like I arrived, I started university like 2 days later, and then I was working, and it was always working and studying, working and studying. Maybe for some of you it might be like that, and you know, as soon as you get holidays, you work as much as your visa allows you to, so that you can save money for your next semester. And I remember that even, I mean, that was a tough period. It's not like, oh my God, it was terrible. I'm not gonna come on YouTube and tell you that, oh, it was horrible, but it was difficult. Even in that part of being difficult, I still had the chance to go to the snow. I could obviously, you know, with a lot of help from, you know, live friends, I managed to do certain things like maybe go to events, you know, save a bit of money, go back to Venezuela where I'm from. And well, I've only been twice back ever since I left, but that's another story. That's for another video. And do things that, you know, this is just to let you know that yes, it could be challenging. It's gonna be difficult for some of you, but it's not like, oh my God, you're gonna be a student and it's horrible. No, it may be the case that some of you have 2 jobs and that will be hard, but it's not the end of the world, and things do get better as you progress, as you maybe get a bit busier, the more people you know, the works that you get. And this is probably touching on to the second point, which is I would say like career progression or like PR pathways. For I would say the past 2 years, I have seen that there are more sponsorships offered to students. This is through my, let's say, this is just not based on a statistic. This is just based on what I do. I help students with IELTS and PT preparation. And by the way, if you want to know a bit more about preparation, just contact me with the link in the description. And basically, a lot of students, whether they are chefs or carpenters or engineers, and the list goes on and on, there are still PR pathways in Melbourne. This is not migration advice. You could obviously go to other cities, right? Like maybe it may be easier to go to like a smaller city like Tasmania, well, or like a state, I should say, like Tasmania, or go to South Australia, Adelaide, and the list goes on and on. I'm not talking too much about staying in Melbourne for migration purposes, but my point is that in Melbourne being a big city, there is a lot of opportunity work wise, whether it is for professional work, whether it is for PR pathways. You know, students and people that I know after completing their bachelor's, sometimes masters, usually masters. Now, there is always this period where everyone is looking for a job, but they end up finally having a job. And look, I recently met someone who's working as an architect and is working as an architect here in Melbourne, ex-international student. So this is just to show you that, I mean, there are possibilities. And on top of that, we have, let's say, the lifestyle. Melbourne is a city that if you watch a video about how Melbourne is, and if you look at the clips that I've been putting throughout this video, Melbourne is nice. It is a beautiful city, but probably is not going to be the top of the list when it comes to traveling in Australia compared to, for example, Sydney, which is the obvious choice, right? Sydney has got the Opera House, the Blue Mountains, and this and that, and Melbourne has good things, but Melbourne is a city that you enjoy the longer you stay in it. Melbourne is a little bit, I was going to say like wine, but maybe that's not the best example. My point here is Melbourne has, I mean, if you think about, for example, sporting events or activities, festivals, Melbourne has festivals, whether it is Moomba Festival or festivals about, or let's say cultural festivals for different communities. There are so many throughout the year. There is also the Formula One, in case you like Formula One. If you like sports, there is the AFL. You have like the Australian Soccer League. There are lots of games played in Melbourne. You also have like the tennis, which is so big, it's huge. You have the Australian Open. And on top of all of this, you get, concerts, and the list goes on and on. There are film festivals, sake festivals. You have the Victoria Market, Night Market. And this is just to name a few things. And look, in less than a minute, I told you like 10 things about Melbourne. So I feel that the lifestyle, the experience is just great. Whether it is students who come and they're single, or they come with their partner, or they come with their family, I feel that Melbourne has options for everyone. Some people like to live close to the city, or maybe students like to live close to the city, or close to the university where they study. and the list goes on and on. Some people then, after a few years or maybe after some time, some people want to move maybe to Geelong or move a little bit further away. And I feel that it has something for everyone. Whether you like sports, whether you like something a bit quieter, I would say. Melbourne has also lots of sports, lots of parks, and every suburb, technically speaking, has got everything. I don't think that this is just Melbourne. This might be more Australia, which is just to show you how nice it is. So when I think about it, and look, I cannot finish the video without telling you the cafes, right? Because the cafes are incredible. Another thing that really gets me thinking is that even local students, I've met Australians who live or who are from other states who come to Melbourne for education. They come to study, for example, here in Melbourne, they would come to Melbourne Uni, RMIT, Monash, Deakin, Swinburne, and Victoria Uni or ACU, some of the bigger universities here in Melbourne. And they would come, and they are from Australia. So it's not like you and me, we're not talking about international students, We're talking about people born in this country who maybe they are from Sydney, from regional areas, from different states, and they choose to move and come to Melbourne for a reason. So if anything that you're listening is like, that sounds really good, then is because look, it is. I don't want to also say Melbourne is terrible, but I don't want to say it is paradise. I feel that it has a bit of everything. And I think one big plus that a lot of my students enjoy is that Melbourne is a city where you have like, well, we joke and we say that there are 5 seasons or four, sorry, in a day. But a lot of my students really enjoy winter, right? Because where they are from is very hot, very warm. And and it's nice that you have that let's say chance, right, to try and enjoy different activities, different sports throughout the year, which is something that maybe it will be a bit more difficult if you are in a different part of Australia, or if you are from a place where you don't have that. For example, where I am from in Venezuela is always 35 degrees. It is always super warm. It's humid. Well, I love it, by the way. And it rains like 1 to 2 months in a year. We have like a mini rainy season. And this is just to show you that if I compare it to Melbourne, we have like the 4 seasons. And all in all, I think it is an incredible city. I'm obviously biased because I have only lived in Melbourne, but I'll tell you something. I have been to Tasmania, Sydney, Brisbane, Cairns, where else? Adelaide, of course. I haven't been to Alice Springs or Darwin, and Perth. So I have been to all the major cities in Australia, and I can confidently tell you that Melbourne is incredible. But I mean, the other cities are nice too, and there are lots of reasons for that. What I'm trying to say is that all cities have got something good. But Melbourne, if you're an international student, I would be like, yes, definitely. It has something for us. It may be a matter of like obviously checking your own situation and deciding, whether you like it, whether you don't like it. I've met people who say that they love the weather, but then for whatever reason they go to another city. That is what a friend of mine did. And look, if you are thinking, what is the best Australian city for me? Don't worry, I have this video right here for you. I will see you in that one, and I hope you like this one as well.